What's really good, ladies and gentlemen? It's the OG Boricua Dandada, aka Chef. I have Coach David, Scrooge McBand. It's been a while since we jumped in here. He was just on vacation here. We should have all did it together. We were busy. At one point, he's the official pilot of the Millennium Falcon. We're just his fucking gunners. It is what it is. That's just the facts. He had to go back to work. He dealt with the Slayer crew. It's a little inside pun, but he's back home. He's dealing with bullshit. My brother, how are you?
Other than a migraine, I'm fine, but that's to be expected with the geniuses I work with. So, not all that bad today, but still, even a quiet day's an adventure. So,
So, breaking news comes out on the fourth line voice that Major League Hockey Fights is coming. Now, AJ Galante got to show a lot of respect for this man. He's the GM of the Danbury Thrashers. Former goon. This dude's official like a referee with a whistle. So we all also know that he is the brains behind what Ice War started. He's no longer with Ice War, so he's going to start his own thing. Now, the one cool thing about AJ Galante, and I'm going to throw this out there, and he's got to come on here because he's a big time wrestling fan, right? He also has his own boxing promotion. The guy has a million hats. You know what I'm saying? He's got his hand in a lot of things. Super smart, knows how to promote and all that good shit. But I was like, you know what? If there's one person that is going to take this and actually be able to promote, because it's what we've been saying about Ice Wars, it's really promoted bad. It's showed by the lack of fans that were at the arena. So
yeah.
if anybody can actually promote this at a high level, we know it's going to be AJ. But with competition, this is why I had to have you on, bro. Competition brings out the best, unless you're one of those players that isn't either good enough or is afraid of losing his spot. Because, like, we were joking around the other day, me and Coach David, and you know, uh, I wasn't even on to play the game. You were playing with the Blues, and I was just your brother there to support you at that point. I was, Inter America wasn't there. I was just watching you play. So Duke of all people sits there and goes, "Yo, let's send somebody over there." Winds up being me. Me and you were going ham the whole game, right? Like, and it was a test to me to see how good have I gotten, right? Because you coached me, and we never had that one-on-one besides practices.
Right.
So we go ham. I don't have to tell any other story. Your team won because the bozos I was playing with did not listen. If they would have listened, we might have got the dub. Didn't matter. But that's when you sat back and you're like, iron sharpens iron, right? Like you test yourself, you see, oh man, am I as good as I think I am? Can I play on the same field as Dave at that level? Because you and Sean are the best football players I've ever seen. So
Right.
it pushed to want to be great. If Ice Wars sees this and they go, shit, we got legit competition, this should elevate Ice Wars, right? Because you don't want to sit back and go, oh, there's no competition because we signed with BKFC. Fuck them. That's not. If you think like that, you've never played sports at any high level, and you just don't got that dog in you. Am I right or wrong?
No, yeah. I mean, but it's going to be tough because, like I said, fighting, being a brute is one thing, doing it on ice, on skates is another. That's the thing I think you're seeing where it's tough right now because it's hard to find the right group of people that can test one another. There's a few good fighters. Obviously, Ice Wars has a couple of guys that
Yeah,
the names that are being built and pushed. But I mean, there's not a lot of. It's like slim pickings. I think what you said. I don't maybe because they're not marketing it and they're not really going out trying to find because it seems like it would be something that's going to grow and be very popular. I think, especially obviously in Canada, that's hockey town, so they're gonna. But I think the U.S. will take into it too because they like the fighting, the brawl, and the thing. But the difference is you have to be in condition. You have to know how to skate because as we saw from that last event with the Ice Wars, a lot of that was these guys were coming in full boom, 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 but that was it. It was because they were so worn out. It was a little bit longer. It didn't help some of these guys. Yeah, some it was great for a round, but then after that, I was like, minus a fight or two, there wasn't too many guys that really went the distance and you could see it's tough. Now there's good fighters there, but unfortunately they got to find a way to maybe tease other people to get into it or lure them into it. I mean, I don't know if it's a money thing or whatever. It definitely comes down to marketing. And like you said, it has to come down to these guys who are actually into that sport. I guess actually, because a lot of those guys that are in the ice wars have been guys that have played hockey for years. They're regular brawlers and stuff like that. So I mean, nowadays it's kind of hard to find, but there's still some guys out there, even in the NHL right now, that are, obviously they can't do it because they're in the NHL. But at some point, maybe they, when they leave that, they may want to go into that. So I don't know. It's going to come down to marketing, I guess. And it's a bit different with a bare knuckle. It's different when you're hitting somebody with a fist. It's different than with a glove, man. It's different, as we saw from some of the guys getting lumped up and cracked up real quick.
Well, yeah, I'm wondering if the NAH will like how does that go there? Because a lot of those people are brawlers, so that would be cool to see. But my question is, what do you think if like this comes when it comes out? Do you think it would take Ice Wars off the map or no?
Well, it depends. I think it could do one of two things. One, it can either promote it, and they could be in like how with wrestling, how you had the WCW and the WWE. It could be something good like that, and they go back and forth. They have the Monday Night War, and all that, how wrestling did their thing, and they wound up merging it and making it something. Then they got a
Oh,
little
so
too
you're
many.
saying like how like they can like borrow some of their fighters and like no?
No, like taking their group and fighting against the Ice War guys, fighting each other back and forth. Now, some guys may cross over if you want to go storyline, but again, this is something where I don't you can't really do storyline with guys leaving it, but you can match up. Well, here's my best. Where's your best? Let's fight. And if it works, then you can promote it and it gets bigger. Now, if it doesn't do that, then neither one may succeed because you're really hurting because you're just staying with each other. So it's like you're making one and one. If you don't have any type of competition, I mean, I don't know. It can do one or two things. Like I said, it can either build it into something really big if they want to go that route, or if they're looking to just do their own thing, then yes, maybe possibly to your point, it could end one of them. Because right now,
Do
Ice
you
Wars
think?
thing.
Sorry for interrupting you. Do you think that they could do like you know how like they have Battle for the Border, United States versus you think like they would be able to like do that? Like no, they won't have their companies fight against each other.
So this is why it's not going to work. Um, so AJ was a part of the brain trust behind Ice Wars um, the entire time, right? So the first three that happens, AJ and Nama was there. Nama is like the financial person. AJ was the one that was helping building it from his vision. Now, this is from what I got from a lot of people, right? This is not just rumors, right? This is what it was. Now, when BKC came involved, Nama kind of pushed AJ out. Like, we don't need you. There's no way they're working together at all. And to sit back now, I think you're 100% right. If they do it, and obviously, like you said, no storylines, but if you did like the Monday Night War thing where you're both pushing each other, that means there's actual competition and people want to see greatness. We know that egos is the biggest problem to everything because if we ever got a WCW versus WWE, and we know that that is everything is scripted, right? We know that obviously, but who's going to sit back and put their pride to the side and say, okay, you win 5 matches, I lose 4, right? Nobody wants to do that, even if it's best for the fans. Be back and said, all right, I don't give a shit. If WWE is the Mecca, right? So they're the top dogs. If they did it smart and said, listen, 10 matches, we'll go 6-4 us, right? But
Right.
you don't ever let your main guys fight. Like you won't have Hulk Hogan versus at that point, let's say Undertaker or Stone Cold The Rock. You don't put those guys involved because you keep them strong for your products. So I think the battle for the border idea would be cool. I don't think it would work, but like Coach David said, if they did this smart and they did the well, you bring your best every night, I'm gonna bring my best every night, and let's see what happens. Like, but the one thing I keep saying is AJ's one hell of a promoter, and Ice Wars is terrible at promoting. So Major League Hockey Fights already has an edge in that what was I going to say? That lane, because I know this guy's promoted professional fights before, right? This is a hockey goon that is still a GM of a hockey, and there's tons of guys that are out there. Now, do we know them? No, because we're still new to this shit and we're American. We don't know who's,
Right.
available to fight. But I'm sure with this guy's connections and everything else, it's like I'm going to start this shit. Let's get it in. But it's all going to come down to 2026. Both want to come back. I know in February, Ice Wars is coming back to the Emriant Arena, which makes no sense to me because that's a big financial hit you took on that other one. If AJ is smart, he does the shit like they've been doing. You keep that shit in Canada for a while, let it grow, pick the stuff up, put a first few of the fights out there for free so you grow a following. And then, obviously you start paying, pay for your subscription or, make it inexpensive for your pay-per-views or whatever. But slowly build your brand, keep it where it's going to be hot. Grow your fans. And then when you have a nice little following over there, then you could try to hit New York, Chicago, Detroit, like the big hockey, Boston, Philly, the hockey areas that, always done well. So that's just my 2 pennies.
No, that sounds about right. Now, the only thing would be interesting. I wonder if anybody crosses over, leaves like Ice Wars to go join. Because I know there's some grumblings of some unhappiness because of some things that went on that weren't right. And if I'm a guy that's not happy and I'm not getting what I want and I see an opportunity over there, you know what? I might say, peace, and take a shot. Because like I said, there is some talent over there.
And that's the thing, right? Like, okay, so I like the helmet that they had over there. At first, I was like, you're going to punch bare hand to a hard plastic helmet, your hand's done. So they kind of have like and I'm okay with that. It didn't look super bad, but
no,
I mean, let's be honest. The thing was, like we said, a lot of these guys gassing out, like especially with Nick versus Sebastian Lafayette. So Nick is one of their premier fighters. Sebastian Lafayette is a super hockey going over 500 fights in professional hockey. So you see the first round, Nick wins. Second round, Lafayette won that one. It's not even like a debatable, I think he edged him. The only problem was Sebastian Lafayette is used to 15 to 25-second fights, not 3 1-minute fights.
Right.
So he gasses out, shuts it down. But like we said, keep the gloves on these guys, because if you do this stupid bare knuckle bullshit, we're losing great fights, right? Like, you're telling me you didn't want to see Rulli and Christina Barry go 2 more rounds, right? Like, those women were ready for war.
That first round.
So
yeah, that first round was sick.
You know what I mean? Keep this shit hockey, right? This is what we're excited about. Get the real guys who know how to skate, because not for nothing, way too many guys were falling all over the place.
Yeah, you saw that.
It looked bad. So give me the guys who know how to edge work and know how to skate, and let them bang out. This weight shit, people are over the weight, that it makes no sense. And I know that won't happen in Major League Hockey fights. I know it'll be way better structured than what we've seen in Ice Wars. And I'm a fan of Ice Wars. I'm not shitting on Ice Wars. But there's a lot of things they got to fix going into 2026, where I think that, like you said, if, let's say, like a guy like Reed, you've been kissing this Rosa guy's ass the whole time. Reed Nation did, Rosa Nation this, Rosa that. Rosa comes in over his weight and, dirty hits Reed. And I'm not saying that's the only thing that happened, but it did happen. He dirty hit him. So if I'm Reed and you play me like whatever, I'll just go over here. You know what? I hope you're ready for competition, because now I'm going to bring my fan base here and let's get it in,
Yeah, that's the thing that could happen. That's where, to Scrooge McBain's point, is if they are very unhappy over it and they don't start building a good product, those guys from Ice Wars are just going to move on over to the MLHF, because especially if it starts popping off, they're going to go where the money is. That's the bottom line. That's anybody. So if Ice Wars wants to stay alive, they got to keep moving up. They made some strides, obviously. And then, again, I don't know much because I'm new to all of this stuff, so I really don't know how it's all working behind the scenes and all that
Yep.
other stuff. I'm sure it takes a lot of time and work, and it's not as easy as we think to be getting done and stuff like that. But yeah, the little helmet thing wasn't a bad idea. I mean, you saw in the fight though, some of them were kind of getting pulled in the face a little
Yeah.
bit. So I mean, but the bare hand, the only bad thing about it is, and like you said, you saw too many guys getting split open early, and it kind of affected those fights. It took away from it a little bit because these guys, some of them, those first rounds were they were brawling. I mean, both were
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom. But then you had one guy who got beat up too bad, got cut bad. Really, and as a fighter, once you got blood in your eyes, it's harder to see. And then we lost the one fight with a poke in the eye. That ruined everything there. That looked like it was going to be a good fight, but then
Yep.
unfortunately, because at first he was coming out and then boom. I mean, but obviously there's room for improvement and everything. And obviously MLHF is going to try to take some of what they see at Iceworth and then mold their own little thing to try to create what they want to do because they have their vision, obviously, as Iceworth has theirs. I just think they could coexist together if they do, like I said, minor storylines where they're just competing against each other.
Yep.
But you have to keep everybody happy at your own venue. So if you can't, because if people aren't happy, and then they see something better, they're going to slide over to the other side, especially if it's more profitable and marketable for them. Because, like we said, the only thing right now, Ice Wars hasn't really been able to market the guy. Well, or maybe the guys themselves haven't been able to really market themselves and stuff like that. Like, some guys maybe could go out and try to be a heel. You got your faces, your heels.
Yep.
To that extent, obviously not a storyline thing, but you have the guy who's a bad, F you, blah, blah. I ain't know about that nice. And then you got the other guy who's a little bit more back. I mean, I don't know. Again, new to all this, have no clue. Obviously, there's a lot of things you can do. I guess it just depends on the creativity and the draw that you can get. Like you said, maybe this guy, since he's more with the hockey and stuff like that, he might be able to find people that we don't even know about, obviously.
Yep.
Even Ice Wars finds people because some of those fights, we didn't know some of those guys either. But
Exactly.
but the problem was the fights, first rounds were usually pretty good, but after that, some of them, there's a lot of falling down,
Yep.
a lot of takedown. I mean, again, it's hard when you're on skates. It brings a whole different element to the thing. It's not like you're sitting there watching a hockey game and they're going back and forth on skates. You're in a brawl, a little air, and you're moving around. It's not that easy. And then they're all trying to grab each other. And when you if your weight shifts one way or the other, boom, you're going down, flipping over. So I mean, it could be, like I said, it could be very interesting where they could coexist, or like I said, to Scrooge McGain's point, maybe one does die out. If one's not holding its weight and the other's going, it's gonna slide that way. Eventually, that's how it happened with the wrestling. As great as WCW was, and how long they eventually faded because they just gave in. So I don't know, but
No, I agree 100%. Like, the more I sit back, I'm like, and I've said this, and you can jump in 1 second. I've said this, and I told some of the fighters already too. And the fourth line boys, Darren, he had told me, he goes, the thing is culturally hockey, where we're from, obviously from Canada. You let your game do the talk for you. You don't talk shit, right? The only thing is, this is a fight promotion. So
right.
if all I get is a good fight, that's all I'm stuck with. What you say after the fight, right? Like, you got to be able to promote yourself. You got to be able to talk. Like, that's why people love Tyson and Connor and Tito Ortiz and Ken Shamrock and all these guys. They love them because they talk a lot of shit, right? Like, they backed it up. I mean, yeah, you put a bullseye on your back, but at the same time, the only thing that by AJ that he dropped kind of a nugget, he said, "Rep your team." So I'm not sure how the team element's going to work. This is why we need them on, because I need to know more, right? No one has done a team thing. It's
right.
I mean, Ice War is the only one, and we've seen they've done tournaments and then these single fights. So him coming out saying, "Yo, rep your team," even more, because let's say the three of us are on a team, right? I don't know how the fights would be or whatever, but if I can sit back and it's faction, bare knuckle mob versus faction, whatever, and at the end of the night, our total wins mean something, or something to that nature.
Right.
I'm like, oh, that's my team, right? It'd be like NWO versus DX, So now we get a clear cut. Oh, this is who I'm running with. You know, that's what I'm excited for is the rep your team thing.
So, full on change the subject. Their hype guy, the B Rock or B Rabbit dude, like petitions just like not having like the hype man is very boring. He sounds like a bootleg Eminem character. Well, you know his name. What's his name? The guy's name?
Alex is the problem with the B Rab guy, right? Scrooge McBand's my fault because I'm not a fan of the guy neither, but he's a hype man. Do whatever. That's Ice Wars thing. We talking Major League Hockey fights, right? And we're talking the competition aspect. Whatever your beef is with homeboy over there, that has nothing to do with over here.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, McBains don't like pretty much a lot of shit. So listen, we talked our shit. I'm super excited for this. We got one more coming for you. So for me, these two guys, we out of here. Deuces.